Yeah, so GCI Goal Crafting Intensive, it had probably one of the most impactful effects on me throughout the last couple of times that I joined. I think I've joined a total of 4 times. And what is magical about it is not just spending 5 hours on mostly a weekend, but really like be intentional about your year. And in a community with fellow people that have that same intentionality. And it's like a whole floodgate of possibilities kind of opens up. And if I look at my own life, like pre GCI and then post, I was always quite intentional about reflecting on the year and taking, let's say, the last few days of the year to do a mini retreat to think about the year that's passed and ideate about the next year. But I think the big game changer with GCI is that you not just like reflect and think about where is next, but there's also this like operationalizing your goals and moving towards it, right? And that's that big shift that I noticed. It's not this one touch point in the year, but it's like throughout the year you have like touch points for yourself or with the host of like coaches that is available, or even the community of like checking in on a Sunday. So all I could say is it's probably one of the highest leverage 5 hours that I get in the year. And yeah, for me, I typically sign up for multiple sessions throughout. But yeah, it's a big thumbs up from my end.
Nice. And so that's cool hearing that it's been impactful for you, even given that you were already doing kind of like yearly reflection. Like it's not like it introduced you to the idea of doing a New Year's review and kind of going deep with that, but it somehow took you to a new level with that.
That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's what we aim for. It's like whatever level you're at, we meet you at that level and we kind of invite you to the next level. So for some people, it's their first time ever planning anything, and then other people like yourself, you're coming in with already a bunch of experience. And if someone was like, if someone said, I don't know, like, what if it ends up being a waste of time or something, like I don't know, if someone was like it kind of sounds neat, but I don't know if it would be a fit for me, like maybe that's not a specific enough question, but I'm just curious what you'd say.
I think it really depends on how do you want to
How would you
spend
help
your
someone figure out if GCI could be good for them?
Yeah. I think probably give a little bit of like a primer, right? Because it is definitely an intense experience, but for the right reasons. But typically with my friends who are still early with their reflection process, what I typically say is like, hey, there is a few questions that I can send you over, think about it. And then if you're really excited at the end of that, there's this community I can introduce you to where you can, sit a couple of hours on a Sunday to really like chart that out even further. Because other friends of mine, they might not be ready for this experience. So I feel that there is that little primer and that check-in, but typically the ones that do say like, yes, let's do it. Like last GCI, I had a friend named Daniel join in from Canada, and he just instantly said yes, and he went through it, and I could see the effect that it had on him. So I think there is that interplay as well, where I check in whether it's not too much up front. But the reason why I say that is like I feel like there needs to also be the right type of person joining this that really like is intentional about it and really wants to like utilize these 5 hours ultimately with the aim of having a good impact and return throughout the year, right? And that's definitely the thing when it comes to me and all the friends that I introduced to the community as well.
Cool. That's cool to hear you're sharing it to people. All right, well, maybe that's anything else you want to just say about GCI? Like what do you think is the most surprising thing about GCI? Like if someone had only heard what you just said, what misconception might they have at this point? I mean, we didn't really say much about the workshop itself in some ways, but
I think at first glance, what I also get with a lot of like friends that are not into, let's say, leveling up in life or productivity, there's that first like scary feeling of like, oh, it's too structured or it's too like rigid. But what is, I think the beauty about this community is like the kind of like the spirit underneath it, right? Yes, there are these structures and these tools, but the spirit of like giving and really like helping one another out. And that is like very pure and intentional. So whether it's, the founders, including you, or it's the coaches that are, within the network, or even the people just joining in, there is that kind of like true desire from the core of like leveling each other up. And that is like this very like warm and nurturing feeling. So, when it comes to like typical productivity type of, let's say, communities, there is that very rigid, structured approach to things. But I think what's beautiful here is that the structure serves that spirit of like helping one another out and leveling each other up. And what's really cool, I think this is my fourth time joining in, you see these same people coming back and back and back. And I think that's a beautiful signal as well.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think that's something that continues to inspire me. Like we've had over 1,000 people participate at this point, and I looked up the numbers. I forget what they are, but we've had a substantial number of people come back for a second time, a third time, a fourth time. I think the record is 6 or 7, something like that. And just like the fact that it becomes part of people's life to go and think about it, because it's not like the workshop isn't just us teaching something. So it's not like you wouldn't go back to a workshop that was just teaching material, right? Because you're like, look, I saw the lecture last time, but instead it's like it's this space to learn and grow wherever you are. So I guess even the comment about meeting people at their level and taking them to the next level, it's like you can do that for the same person again,
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And it's interesting you bring that up, because
I
that
find
theme
that
of
people are
like,
coming back a second.
sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so that topic of like continuity, right? That's something that I've noticed throughout the last 4 times as well. So I would consider myself fairly new to the community, even after going through 4 of them. But every time I go in and come back, there's that connection point between coaches. Even after, let's say, GCI, you can touch base with them throughout the year for like individual sessions or so, where you have that connection point throughout the year. Or even like coming in for the 4th time, you kind of like get a understanding of what are the modules. And rather than the first time for me, I wanted to go through everything like the newbie that I was. But then the 4th time was much more like, oh yeah, I kind of know where the highest leverage areas are. Let me just focus on that and really, hone in on that. And then maybe like let the other stuff kind of simmer down a bit more and revisit them later. But what I really love is that like continued experience. And whether you're joining for the first time or you're a veteran joining for many years, I feel that that continuity is there as a key anchor point.
Cool. Yeah, I love seeing veteran GCI people being like, all right, this goal crafting intensive, I've got a plan and it's this. And we're like, great, let us know how we can help. They're like, I will. Pommel 3, I'm probably going to want to talk to you, Malcolm. It's like, okay. They just kind of have it sort of arced out. And not that everybody has it planned out in advance, but just like they're bringing a whole different attitude than the people who are like, where are the videos? It's just like,
that's beautiful.
Developing that familiarity. Yeah.
And maybe one question back at you. What's been the most surprising thing for you looking back at the many years of running this?
Oh, let's see. Yeah, we're coming up on year 6. It'll be switch. Yeah. And I don't think, one thing is, I don't think I was thinking that people would come and do it again. Like, it's sort of obvious in retrospect. And we have been letting the previous participants know about the new ones every time, but yeah, it makes sense. I think I've been a little surprised. We didn't know at the start how well the pay what you want structure would work. Like having people, mostly just pay a small upfront amount for the ticket and then contribute at the end of the workshop. Like we really didn't know how well that would work and didn't know how much money we could expect to make from it. But people have really loved that, and it's created so much ease for me in terms of like doing marketing and stuff, just to know that I'm not trying to like pitch people on making a big bet, you gotta shell out a whole, like it feels so good to me that I'm just like, no, like just make a small bet, show up, and then pick a number that feels good. I feel so like that continues to just feel so good for me. Yeah.
That's beautiful. Yeah, thanks for the impact that you're making together with the team. It's tremendous.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, cool.
Hmm.
Well, I will see you there. We got some new ones actually coming up in in a couple months, of course, because it's New Year's.
Yeah.
But we just picked the date, so I got to get the site up.
Ooh, excited. Yeah, I'll be there.